Hello students, welcome to Legacy IAS. In this video, we are going to decode where the questions from the environment section came in Prelims 2026. It is no doubt Prelims 2026 was a tough paper, it was difficult and very unusual type of questions were being asked. Okay, a lot of which was something that we do not usually study or something that has not been following the pattern or the trend of the previous year questions. All right. However, since the paper was difficult and as well as CSAT was difficult, there are some kind of estimations that the cutoff might go low. But here in this video, we will try to understand that despite the hardness or the difficulty level of the paper, okay, that is on seeing it at the first time, you might think that it is a difficult paper, but even with calmness, can we get to some kind of questions? I would say that most questions were hard and it was not on the expected lines. That means environment questions usually you get around 17 to 18 questions. That has been the trend in the past 10 years also. Okay, 17 to 18 questions we get, and mostly you will find that these 17 to 18 questions, these are there. The primary reason is that even the aspirants from the Indian Forest Services write this exam. And when they write this exam, therefore, there is a greater share of environmental questions. Now, since this has been the trend, right now in this paper, Prelims 2026 paper, you have approximately 9 to 10 questions. Okay, 10 questions also, if I say, it would be something that is overlapping with the economics part or the geography part. Okay, economics part, when they talk about the bonds, okay, green bonds, okay, sustainability bonds, that kind of question that I'm talking about. All right, so let us try to understand that are there any kind of observations or any kind of tricks or elimination that we could have used provided that we remain calm in the exam. Okay, the first priority is that you must be done with your static portion. Please revise it 5, 6 or 7 or 10 times also, okay, because having a complete command over static helps you to mark the options right away. Okay, we do not want to spend a lot of time during the static portion, and whenever we are thinking about the static portion, somebody else has already passed that question, marked it correctly, and have moved on to the difficult question. This is something that we want to avoid, and we want to come to the difficult question with a calm mind. All right, so let us start and understand what can be done in such kind of paper. So Prelims 2026 questions on environment. So first question. So this is with reference to Madhav National Park, which of the following statements is or are correct? Okay, Madhav National Park. Okay, so every time whenever you have environment, there might be question from the protected areas network, this everybody knows, and also national parks. Okay, national parks, biosphere reserves or wildlife sanctuaries. Now about national parks, there are certain dimensions that we have to definitely remember. Okay, something national parks that have been there in the previous year questions plus something that has been in the current affairs. These are the two that we definitely need to prepare for. Okay, of course, we cannot prepare for all the 110 national parks, but we can prepare for these many, at least. Okay, in the previous year questions, you might find 15 to 20 national parks, and club it with the current affairs, you might have a list of 25 to 26 national parks. Okay, so Madhav National Park was in news in 2025. 2025. Okay, there was a Hindu article. Madhav National Park in Madhya Pradesh becomes India's 58th tiger reserve. So this is one, that is we could have gathered it from the current affairs. The second thing, and that would be much more helpful in locating that such kind of national parks may be asked in the future also, is whenever you prepare for national parks, you prepare the location, you prepare for any kind of flagship species that are there, you prepare for what kind of climate is there, okay, you prepare for what districts does it, is it present in, okay, because previously also they have asked about the Desert National Park, whether it is located over 2 districts or not. All right, so these things, apart from this, you should also prepare for superlatives. By superlatives I mean any largest one, okay, highest, biggest, smallest, okay, lowest, highest altitude, okay, Hemis National Park. So these kind of superlatives also help you to determine whether these are important from UPSC point of view also, because they have been there. The trend has been as such that they usually ask these kind of superlatives also. And one more thing, according to this, is that the first national park, the first biosphere reserve, the first wildlife sanctuary, and the latest one, the recent most. So according to this, the recent most tiger reserve is Madhav National Park. Recent most. Okay, there are, so all of you would know that how many tiger reserves are there. There are 58 tiger reserves. Have they asked about the largest tiger reserve? Yes. With the largest critical tiger habitat? Yes, they have asked. They have asked about the Nagarjuna Sagar Srisailam. Okay, based on that, you should also know which one is the smallest. Now, which one is the latest? This is Madhav National Park. All right, just by knowing this much, we could have answered this question. Okay, so let us read the question. It was declared a tiger reserve. It was declared a tiger reserve in 2025. All right. If I had known that this Madhav National Park was in news, I would definitely have prepared for its location. Okay, so based on the location, you would see that it is located in the northwest part of Madhya Pradesh. So this means Rajasthan, it has written. Since it has written Rajasthan, this is already wrong. Okay, this is simply me knowing that current affairs plus latest tiger reserve. So from now on, whatever you do, national parks, tiger reserves, wildlife sanctuary, biosphere reserves, all of these, the latest one, the first one, you should always remember. The largest and the smallest, you should always remember. Okay, remember the locations, remember the species, flagship species, and remember the climate that is there. Okay, this much you should prepare. So third is definitely wrong. So first, if we go for looking at the options, we will see that third is definitely wrong. Okay, so you are left with one only and one and two. Take a one only and one and two. Now this is also something that you should, Sakhya Sagar, which is designated as a Ramsar site, which is situated within the national park. Okay, so we also know that usually they will ask about the Ramsar sites, and about Ramsar sites you are only required to know the location. Okay, not anything elaborate or multi-dimensional like national parks, wildlife sanctuaries, or biosphere reserves. You are only required to know that where it is located. Okay, in that sense, you will find that this is correct, Sakhya Sagar. So answer would be B. Okay, now whether this was a tough question or an easy question. This question, if somebody has read about Madhav National Park, they would be easily going for elimination of the third option and the ticking of the first option. Okay, they might be confused a bit with the second one. Okay, so in that case, they might be confused between A or B. All right, A or B. This might be the confusion. However, with the knowledge about this Ramsar site also, if they have prepared from the current affairs about all the Ramsar sites that have been in news, then they would be marking B. Okay, so if I have to say what kind of question was it? Was it easy, moderate, or difficult? It was about moderate to difficult question. Okay, moderate to difficult question, right? Now, going to the next question. Now, this question is absolutely difficult. Very difficult question, I would agree. And this question talks about the foxtail orchid. Okay, it says, consider the following statements about Rhynchostlis retusa, that is foxtail orchid. Okay. So first of all, it is known whenever they talk about species, what do they ask about? When they ask about species, they are asking about first location. Okay, whether it is a state, bird, animal, plant, or anything like that. Okay, then they are also going to ask whether it is endemic. What does endemic mean? Endemic means that it is native to that geographical location and is found only there and nowhere else, and that is important for its conservation process also. Okay, so they have done that. They have asked about whether it is endemic or whether it is state flower of Arunachal Pradesh and Assam. This is what kind of question? Difficult question to attempt, because even in the news you will find that there are not much references in the recent times. Okay, there has been references from the 2023 newspapers and magazines articles, but there has not been a recent reference to it. However, this is an article that I came across. Kapopu is in changing climate. That means it is blooming at an earlier stage because of the climate change. All right. Where is this used? It is used in Bihu. Okay. You can see that it is worn by women during this Bihu festival. All right. In Assam. Okay. So this is endemic to Northeast. This one is wrong statement. Wrong statement. Okay. The other two, it is an epiphytic orchid. Yes, this is right. Epiphytic orchid means that it is surviving on the other plants and it is usually not there in the soil. Okay. It usually utilizes the resources from the other trees. This is correct and this one is also correct. Answer would be B. Okay, 1 and 3. Now, what I want you to see is that endemic species. Okay, endemic species, you will have to guess, you will have to understand from the previous year questions also that whenever they say about endemic, okay, endemic, that is whether it is endemic to a certain place or not. Okay, usually you will find that if it is not there with respect to that kind of a climate at any other place, then it is endemic. All right. Usually the statements with respect to endemic, usually if you see, are wrong. Okay. So if you just eliminate 2, if you can eliminate 2, then you are eliminating C. Okay. Still you would be left with 1 only and 3 only and 1 and 3. Okay. So this question automatically becomes difficult. Okay, not many people know about this and not many people can correlate what kind of news has been in there. Even if you have read this article for once also, then also it might be difficult for you to recall in such a pressure environment. I would say that this is a very, very difficult question. All right. Coming to this. Okay, the 4 betters. Okay, usually it has been seen as a trend that when we talk about the previous year questions, in previous year questions, you usually will see that they will talk about the specialized agencies of UN, specialized agencies of UN, and you will find that usually they will ask about any kind of programs that has been launched recently. This has been usually the trend. Okay. Obviously, it is not possible for us to go through all the programs and also remember which organization or what is the theme of it or what are the frameworks that they particularly deal upon. But still, let us try to answer this question. This question, I would say it is easy to moderate. Okay, or I would say it is tilted toward moderate question. Okay, we will be utilizing the elimination method here. Okay, now question number 28. At the United Nations Ocean Conference held in June 2025. So this is already current affairs of past. Okay, that is past 1 year. In France, Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations demonstrated its leading voice on marine and ocean issues, especially in sustainable fisheries and aquaculture for resilient livelihood and blue transformation. Which of the following combinations about the 4 betters proposed by FAO for blue transformation is correct? Now, if there is a difference between you reading it at a very quick pace and you reading it at a very calm pace. Okay, if you're calm down, if you know that you have revised thoroughly and you are able to answer at least the basic questions that are that is expected of an aspirant to answer, then you would not panic in this situation. You would remain calm. Okay, even if you are anxious at this point of time that okay, this kind of a question has come, what should be the answer, and you are getting confused, I would give you one of the methods that we can do. First of all, this is a trap. Okay, this is a trap. This is a trap. Okay, all of these things are a trap. That means blue ocean, blue transformation. That means usually we connect it to oceans. We usually connect it to aquaculture. We usually connect it to the sea water. Okay. However, and they have done a good job of mentioning it in the options also. Better ocean. Okay. Here they have mentioned better mangrove vegetation. Okay. They have tried to confuse you. First, they have laid the trap. Second, they have gone forward and mentioned such things that you would be much more inclined. You would be much more likely to mark this. Okay. Usually people would mark the A option. Usually. Okay. Now, what is the process that we should go for in such kind of questions? One of the methods that, I'm not saying that it will work all the time. I'm not saying that it will work all the time, but 70 to 80% of the times it does work. Okay, and this with respect to knowing and understanding and remembering all the specialized agencies and all the programs that they launch, it is better for us to utilize this kind of a trick. All right. What I want you to see in this type of a question is find out in which option there are phrases which are matching the other three options. The maximum match that you get in one option is the answer. Let us try and see it. Okay? So let us see better production. Better production is here. Better production is here. Okay. Better coral reefs, better estuaries, it is not there. All right. Now better nutrition. Better nutrition is here. Better nutrition again in option B. Here also. Okay, and here also. Then we go for better environment. Is better environment anywhere else? Yes, better environment is here. Better environment is here as well. Okay, better environment is in option C and better environment is in option D also. Okay. So ultimately we see better ocean. Is better ocean in option A? Is it anywhere else? No, it is not there. Is better life anywhere else? Yes, it is here in option C. Okay. What about the other options? Better estuaries, better mangroves vegetation, it is not found in any other option. So what was our elimination part? We were finding such kind of an option which has similarity with all the three other options. Okay. So this one, this is here is B. This is B. Okay. This is also the correct answer. Okay. So you can see here that it is FAO Strategic Framework 2022-2031 talks about better production, better nutrition, better environment and better life, leaving no one behind. Now, why does this kind of a thing work? Okay, the thing, why does it work is because they want to confuse. Okay? So we have understood trap hai. It is also going to confuse you. Okay? Trap and confusion is there. So someone who is in a hurried manner, who is going to attempt this kind of a question, is going to be first of all shocked that such kind of a question has come. Now, the idea is that you are going to likely mark the first option. Okay. The thing is, why does this work? Is because they already know this answer. Okay. Think from the examiner's point of view. So what he will say? These are the options. This is the correct answer. How do I prepare the options? How should I prepare the options? Okay. Either I should change one of these words or either I should change two of these words. Okay, but more likely I will try to maintain two or three similar words so that people get confused even with these options. All right. And then they will particularly mention the trap and then the option that will match with the correct one, match with the trap. Okay. So you will see that only the one, this will be similar to all the other three. This will be similar to all the other three. And all the four phrases are similar or are found in the other three options. Okay? So the maximum overlap of this option is being utilized in the other three options as well. This is to maximize your confusion. First, lay the trap. Second, go for maximum confusion in the aspirants. Okay. So if we are someone who understands this examiner's point of view, we will also understand that to break this kind of POV, we have to go for the one that is maximum overlap. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to be 100% correct, but yes, 70 to 80% is a probability that is good enough for us in such kind of a paper. All right. So that is the reason. It is not an easy question. I'm not saying that it is an easy question based upon the factual information that aspirants are usually expected to memorize. No, it is not going to be there. But yes, could we have eliminated? Yes, or rather we have selected it. Okay, so based on that, I would say this would be easy but moderate, more of a moderate type of a question. Okay, so the approach is like this. Try and apply this to the previous year questions also. Maybe you will find that evidence that most of the times it is the overlapping options that is usually correct. All right. Now this question, what kind of a question is this? This is difficult. Okay, most of us would know about the Red Plus project. Okay, that is based upon the forest improvement and afforestation measures, and also improving the kind of carbon credits. That means the carbon dioxide equivalents or the biomass bound carbon that is present in these trees. All right. So it says, which one of the following is first plan Vivo certified reducing emissions from deforestation and forest degradation project in India? All right. So this is definitely a difficult question, and they are going to ask you the first ones, but then it is very factual in nature. Okay, very factual, difficult question, and at best I would say that you can leave these kind of questions. So answer for this is C, Khasi Hills Community Red Plus project. Okay. Now this question, I feel that this question about long-term low emissions development strategy, this is something that is much more, this is an easy question, I would say. Easy or maximum moderate. Why? Because the only reason I say it is moderate is because of this kind of a new thing that has been introduced. Okay, something that is pointing more towards the logical reasoning. I would feel that this kind of a question is more suitable in the logical reasoning part of CSAT. All right. So if you just see these questions, and if you try to remain calm and read all the terms that are used in these sentences, what do you see? First of all, consider the following statements with respect to India's response in climate change. India's long-term low emission development strategy is a crucial tool for achieving net zero emissions by 2070. Okay, they are not asking whether the statement 1 is right, 2 is right, or 3 is right. Okay, that means these are in Roman numerals. Whether these are right or wrong, they are not asking you this. They are asking you whether these statements are right or wrong. Okay. So we have to be very careful while reading these questions. Okay, if you just go and blindly mark it, it is going to be wrong. All right. So first is, please remain calm. Okay, even if you find very difficult questions, something that we have not seen earlier in the PYQ trends, even if you stay calm, you will be ahead of a lot of aspirants. Okay, first of all, remain calm. Okay, take a deep breath and then read the question again. Okay, what they are asking is this. All right. So first, it is talking about long term. Now this has been, I have also covered all of this in COP 27, COP 30. Since last year there was a question on COP 30 in Belém and Brazil. So they talked about the carbon credit market. They asked about the Article 6.1, Article 6 of the Paris Climate Agreement. So it was natural that they might ask about the Conference of Parties. Okay. So usually this statement would be known, usually. Okay, even if it is not known, then also we can see. Okay, second statement, chalo, let us assume that we do not know this. Okay, usually it is very difficult to remember the fact. So India's fourth biennial update report submitted in December 2024 recorded around 8% decrease in greenhouse gas emissions in 2020 over 2019. Okay, it's a fact. Let us accept it. Move forward. Climate resilient development necessarily depends on quick and short-term achievements of emission reduction targets. So now this is talking about climate resiliency. Okay, when your infrastructure is based upon climate resiliency, the thing is not it is not going to be short-term. It has to be long-term because a lot of lives depend upon it. Okay, and whenever we talk about sustainability, and especially with respect to the climate change, sustainability developmental goals, we want to ensure that it is there in the long term. That is what sustainability means. It means that there has to be intergenerational equity. Okay, so it must survive generation after generation. All right. So this statement is something that does not fit well. I would say I would mark it wrong for the time being. Now read these statements. Okay. So statement number 3, what does it say? Statement 1 and statement 3 together establish the premise of long-term sustainability. Long-term sustainability. Okay. So long-term sustainability, if I just talk about first, it already has this long-term low emissions development strategy, long-term low emission development strategy is mainly about creating such kind of technologies or going towards such kind of development in which we are utilizing less and less of carbon or carbon dioxide equivalent, such kind of less emissions during the developmental phase. Okay, it is just pointing out towards decarbonization of economy. All right. So first is for long term only, but third talks about short term. Talks about short term, है ना? Climate resilient development necessarily depends on quick and short term achievement of emission reduction target. So how can it be long term? When we talk about the third statement, it is necessarily talking about short term and quick measures. How can it contribute to the long term strategy? So if they have to say statement 1 and statement 3 together establish the premise of long term sustainability, this is automatically going to be wrong. ठीक है, क्योंकि this talks about long term, this talks about short term. So 3 is gone. Now going from A and B, I already know that 1 is correct. I do not even need to check it. ठीक है, I can go to directly to second statement and understand whether this statement is correct or not. Now statement 3 contradicts the approach implicit in statement 1. Okay, this is true. Why? Because 1 talks about again long term, statement 3 talks about short term. Okay, short term emission reduction targets, that talks about long term emission reduction. Okay, low emission or emission reduction over a long period of time. So yes, it contradicts. This definitely true. Okay, so 3 is wrong and 2 is correct. Answer would be B. Right? So you see that even if you did not know about LT LEDS, suppose say you had just heard the word and you did not know about this biennial update report submitted in December 2024, you did not know about this, all of these things, it does not matter. What mattered was if you remained calm and if you could just read these statements and see the options, you will find that it is more of a logical reasoning based question that you can do in CSAT also. All right, no prior knowledge, not much of prior knowledge is required because all of the things are mentioned and is in front of you. Okay, so answer is B, 1 and 2. Now coming to this, this question is again, I would say, easy to moderate. Okay, so multiple times even in the classes or even on multiple platforms I have said that you should definitely do the previous year questions. Every animal, every species that has appeared in your previous year question, you might get a question on them again. Okay, so the previous year questions are a kind of a North Star for you to understand that these can appear in the next year's paper also. Okay, Hullock Gibbon has been asked before. Okay, it has been asked in the previous year questions and any sincere candidate would have gone for looking at the picture of this Western Hullock gibbons. The thing is, they have asked about orangutans also just recently. Okay, 2023-24 paper, you would have seen that they have asked about orangutans. So it is something that they are already asking, and this might be an inclination for them to ask about the Western Hullock gibbon also. All right. So why do I say it is easy to moderate? The reason being that it has already appeared in the previous year question. So as a sincere aspirant, it is my responsibility to look at their pictures, look at their features, look at their nutrition status, look at what their specific location is, whether they are endemic to that location or not. All right. So now if I just look at these pictures, I already see this is Hullock gibbon. Okay. Even if I had just looked at the pictures and then tried to attempt this question, how was it? Let us read the third statement. They possess a strong and heavy build like gorillas, yet are remarkably agile tree climbers. I would have definitely noticed that they are definitely agile tree climbers, but their body is not as stocky as the gorillas. Okay, they have asked about orangutans, they have asked about gibbons, and now they are asking about Western Hullock gibbon. It is something that you could have definitely done. First of all, if you had just viewed the pictures, if you had just seen the pictures, or if you have maintained a kind of an album of the name of the animal, their location, the national park they are found in, and then also what kind of or what are the features, what do they look like. If you had maintained this kind of a list, you would have easily seen that they are not strong and heavy built like gorillas. This is third is wrong. This means option C, option D. This is eliminated. Okay? Right now you have 50-50. In this, first is already correct. Okay? We do not even need to read the first one because both the options are having one as common. Okay? So anyway, a sanctuary in northeastern India to this ape species listed as endangered in IUCN red list. Okay, something that people would not know, and it does not matter also. Okay, even if you knew it, well and good. If you did not know it, then also it is fine because it is the common option amongst the correct option. Second, they have specialized brachiation and can easily swing between the trees. Brachiation basically means that they have these kind of limbs which are able to help them to swing between the trees. All right. Now this particular information can again be inferred whenever you see the pictures of Western Hulak women. You will always see them swinging between the trees. Okay. So you find this second option is also correct. Okay. Second option is also correct. Right. So answer is B. So that is the reason we say that it is easy to moderate question because one, it has appeared in the previous year question. Second, I would have prepared a list of it. I would have prepared for its special features. I would have prepared for its pictures. I would have prepared for what kind of location or whether it is endemic to a particular place or not. These kind of information I definitely need to prepare for the previous year question as well as the current affairs. All right. So answer is B. Coming to this mangroves. Okay, mangroves have been in news. Multiple times mangroves have been used and mangroves have been discussed. Even in our current affairs, you would have seen that mangroves are something that are threatened because of the microplastics that are there. Okay, Sundarban's mangroves particularly when we talked about. So mangroves as a part of your ecology and environment, in the first section also we study about mangroves because mangroves are specific. They talk about ecotone. Ecotone between what? Terrestrial plus aquatic ecosystems. Okay, and particularly these are the ones in high saline regions. That means salt concentration is very, very high. Okay, and that is the reason that you will see that there are certain types of modifications in the plant. Okay, one of which is that they will also utilize the salt water and these salt crystals would be there on the leaves. Okay, so only this much information, and then applying of your knowledge and logic would have gotten to you the right answer. Now, what kind of question? I would say, again, easy question. Okay? If you had a good command over your static portion, definitely you could have cleared this question also. All right. Now, first, mangroves reduce tidal energy. This part is correct. Okay. Mangroves are seen as natural bioshield. They are seen as nature-based solutions also, and that is why they are found on the coastal regions. You will find that the waves which are which are high waves, they get reduced due to the presence of such kind of plantations. Okay, and store fresh water, making them ideal sites for paddy cultivation in saline estuarine belts. Now, storage of fresh water, okay, it is not like a desalinization unit. Okay, it is not going to store the fresh water. It is just using the salt water and they are filtering out the salt crystals through their leaves. Such kind of a leaf modification, such kind of modification in this plant is making them, over a long period of evolution, has made them able to filter out this kind of salt crystals. They are not going to store water. It is something that even if you have seen the structure, you see this structure, you'll find that it is not possible for them to store water. Okay, if they store water, they would be succulent. Okay, like for example, in xerophytic plants, you will find that the cactus, they will be succulent. Okay, this is a kind of modification that is, and they have asked about this kind of a modification in your desert plants also. Okay, they have asked whether it is succulent and fleshy, and because it stores water and also it goes underground, and that is why the reason that its roots are deeper. Okay, similarly, you could have applied here and you could have known that storage of water would require a bigger unit. Okay, if you have seen these structures, you would know that the storage of fresh water is something that is going to be next to, it is going to be highly unlikely. So first, I would say wrong. Okay, just by eliminating first, it's gone. Now, third statement is definitely going to be correct because I have left with C and D. Let us look at the second statement. Second, their salt sensitive roots filter seawater, making mangroves key to converting. They convert coastal land into freshwater aquaculture zone. Okay? This is akin to saying that they are like RO plants. Okay, that means they make the water fresh water. Okay, imagine the brackish water is there. Okay, we have what kind of aquatic ecosystems? We have freshwater, marine, and brackish. Okay, so it will range from 0 to 5 parts per thousand, then 5 to 35, and more than 35. That will be your saline. All right, or marine. All right. So it is saying that it can convert, means 5 to 35 parts per thousand gets converted into less than 5 parts per thousand. This is what mangroves are doing. This is what the statement is claiming to it, claiming for mangroves modification. Do you think it is true? Logical reasoning. Okay. Even this statement is a higher reach. Okay. It is not going to convert it is not going to convert the saline water into fresh water. Okay. Had it been so, we would have used this as a method of bioremediation technique so that we can also desalinize the salt water. Okay, and provide for potable water drinking. Okay, you have also known from various previous year questions that how much is the percentage of fresh water. If this was so, it would have served us the fresh water. Okay, if it was so much capable of converting. All right, even logically, if you apply, this is going to be a wrong statement. All right, so second is also gone. What we are left with is 3 only. Answer is D. Okay, so the reason that we say it is easy, it is because of your static portion. Also, current affairs have multiple times indicated to you that mangroves are going to come in your exam. All right, so this is something that most people should have been prepared for. Again, which of the following statements with regard to the arrival of Amur falcons at Doyang Lake in Nagaland each year from Mongolia is or are correct? Okay, this is about migratory species. Okay, Amur falcon, it is something that is regarded as a great effort, a great conservation effort by the community. Okay, earlier you would find that Amur falcons were, hunted down because of their meat and their profits, the profits that they would yield to the local community. Okay, especially the people in Nagaland. Okay, later on, when the population started declining of these migratory birds, they started conserving it, and now the population has revived. Okay, and it is also known as, Nagaland is also known as the falcon capital of India, falcon capital of the world. Okay, so Nagaland, it's each year. Okay, so first of all, in this question, it showcases how sustained local conservation efforts can contribute to the arrival and protection of international migratory birds. International migratory birds. Okay, this is something that, because Amur falcons is something that has been in the news in the past years also, so some people would generally know this. Even if you do not know this, let us see how it can be attempted so that we can get to or we can at least eliminate some of the options. Read the statement number 2. What does it say? It reflects the global success of advanced tracking technologies that guide migratory birds back to their stopover sites. Okay, so let us see. It reflects the global success of advanced tracking technologies that guide the migratory birds back to their stopover sites. Okay, now let's see. It reflects the global success of advanced tracking that guide. Do you think there is technology that will guide the migratory birds back to their stopover? Okay, usually you will find there are certain migratory species. Yes, migratory species are there, and they require different types of ecological niche so that they can survive. They can have a different habitat niche, they can have a different food niche, and they can have a different reproductive niche. Okay, for example, olive ridley turtles. Olive ridley turtles are usually found on the east side of the east coast of India, and usually you will find that this is a reproductive niche for them. Okay, and they do this. The animals have these kind of adaptations that they will find that it is due to the magnetic field intensity of the earth that they are able to locate the different locations. Okay, the locations that they definitely want to go to. Okay, so it is not a technology that is helping them, it is actually the inbuilt mechanism within the migratory species. All right, so this statement, second statement, definitely wrong. Okay, so this is wrong. If you eliminate this, B is gone, C is gone, you are left with A and D. Okay, that is either one is right or either two, three is right. Let us see the third statement. It confirms that Amur falcons have adapted to permanent residency in India due to favorable habitat changes. Okay, so this is wrong. Why? Because when we are talking about the migratory patterns, and Amur falcons are known to fly a long distance. Okay, and it is because of the different types of ecological niche that they actually need. Okay, it is not like they will find a permanent residence. It is not the migration due to distress. Okay, migration due to distress means that the habitat has degraded to such an extent that they have moved from point A to point B. Okay, this kind of a migration has been done and they continue to stay permanently in point B until the habitat degrades further, then they will move to point C. But usually in migratory birds, so they have already seen here that Amur falcons, these are migratory birds. Okay, so if they are migratory birds, if you know this much that they are migratory birds, you'll notice that they move from one habitat to the other habitat in the search of their own characteristics, in the search of their different types of requirements of life to carry out their own metabolism. Okay, so permanent residency is something that is not going to be there. They are like visitors. Okay, migratory birds or migratory species are like visitors. All right, so 3 is also gone. And the answer is 1 only. 1 only. Okay? So I would say, what kind of question? Easy to moderate question. Okay, if you try to read it very slowly, calmly, and try to understand if it is logically correct or not, you will eventually at least be able to eliminate 2 options or get to the right answer. Okay. Now this question is, I would say, very difficult to know. Okay, very hard to prepare for. Okay, because it is going to ask you the specific details. Okay, that means not just one detail, it is asking about the 3 details. Okay, something that we do not expect in the previous year question, looking at the previous year question trends also. However, let us see which of the following statements Nirantar, that is National Institute for Research and Application of Natural Resources to Transform, Adapt and Build Resilience platform of institutions under MOEFCC, is or are correct. All right. So first statement, Ecosystem Survey and Analysis. It is a platform under lead institute of which is Botanical Survey of India. Second, Research and Management of Ecosystem is a vertical under the platform, the lead institute, which is Central Zoo Authority, New Delhi. And third, Capacity Development Support is under Indian Institute of Forest Management, Bhopal. Okay, so in this type of question, what should we do? Okay, I would say that you may try another questions. You can leave these kind of questions. However, okay, only thing that would give you a kind of an inkling, because we know that Central Zoo Authority is established under Wildlife Protection Act, and usually it only deals with zoo. Okay, so it is something that would be ecosystem service. It is saying this. So look at this. It is saying that it has to provide with ecosystem service. What are ecosystem services? Ecosystem services are the kind of services that we get from the various wildlife as well as the plants and animals, and various kind of ecosystem services like provisioning services we get. Okay, provisioning services, that means you get timber, you get other types of trees varieties also. All of this is present. All right. So we find that this Central Zoo Authority is more like in situ conservation or ex situ conservation. It is going to look after the zoos of India. It is going to look after the establishment of these zoos, and therefore I will also find this is ex situ conservation. That means the animals are moved from the natural habitats and they are bred in captivity, they are looked after in captivity. And zoo, therefore, when we talk about ecosystem services, it is not going to be there because it is not in its natural habitat. Therefore, ecosystem services might not be something that would be under Central Zoo Authority. So on that basis, if you can analyze to such an extent, then you can say that this is going to be wrong. Still, you're left with B and D. In this case, you find that 3 is definitely correct. You only have to check about the option number 1. Okay, option number 1, ecosystem survey and analysis. It is the lead institute of which is Botanical Survey of India. Now you will have to take a guess here. Okay, you will have to take a guess. Otherwise, or you should know this properly, and therefore you will come to the option B. That is 1 and 3 only. Okay, very difficult question. And if you want to leave this question, you can leave this question in the exam also. If they ask you such and such things, but here we could just learn this fact that Central Zoo Authority, XC2 conservation, how could they talk about ecosystem service? Okay, this is something that is going to be unlikely. All right, so these were all the questions from environment. Do let us know in the comments what was your experience of prelims 2026 with respect to environment questions, and if you have any doubts, please do ask. Thank you so much.